Denver 7 On Demand is brought to you by Ferguson and BAC Appliance Center, the best in bath, kitchen, and lighting for your home.
I'm Jessica Porter with the latest from Denver 7. Colorado lawmakers say our sex education classes need an update to teach kids about consent, rejection, gender, and safety. Some parents counter this as too delicate a conversation to put on a chalkboard. So tonight, Denver 7's Jennifer Kovaleski is going 360 on sex ed and the anger over expanding it.
Hey, let's be humans here, all right? Calm down.
Rival sides yelling at each other amid angry pushing.
This is abuse, though.
Tirades about morals.
I got freedom of speech. Who's going to tell me what to say and what not to say?
And claims of misinformation.
No, it doesn't, period.
This is what played out at the state capitol as lawmakers debated a controversial comprehensive sex education bill.
Wow, did this light up the network?
A bill which would not mandate sex ed in schools, but says if public or charter schools choose to teach it, it must be comprehensive, and updates what that means to include education about sexuality and consent. A change people are fired up about. They packed this committee room, filled 2 overflow rooms, and 300 people signed up to testify. But let's start this 360 with the lawmaker behind the bill. Democrat Representative Susan Lontine says this is about wellness for our youth and teaching them about all forms of sexuality, an effort to push for acceptance in hopes of pushing out shaming and bullying of LGBTQ relationships.
Being gay, being lesbian, it's not a choice that people have. And I think when we can have honest conversations with our kids about those things.
Lontine's bill also adds requirements for teaching youth about consent.
The consent piece is important to me because I don't think that that's something that's ever been taught to our kids.
To be clear, state law already bans teaching abstinence-only sex ed. But right now, charter schools can apply for a waiver not to teach comprehensive sex ed. This bill puts an end to the loophole.
They're teaching abstinence-only education, which is really harmful to kids.
Other supporters of the bill include the ACLU and Planned Parenthood, who say acceptance can go a long way towards lowering suicide rates.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Not only does Planned Parenthood believe young people deserve fact-based, inclusive information, 98% of parents agree.
Those against the bill made their presence known at the Capitol. Parents, grandparents, and faith leaders, including the Archdiocese of Denver, lined the halls to share their perspectives.
I think that the parents have the right to teach their kids how they should be. Sexuality, what that looks like.
For parent Jeremiah Class, this goes against his morals. He wants the government out of it and says conversations about sexuality belong at home.
To teach my children sexuality that I agree with. And I don't think it's proper for the school to make that choice for me.
To give you an idea just how passionate this debate got, a minute into our conversation.
Who are you?
Yeah, this is kind of weird.
This man, who refused to identify himself, tried to stop our interview with Jeremiah.
You need to give me a reason. So there is no reason.
They need to stay children.
Certified teacher Patricia Wallace is against the idea for an entirely different reason. She says kids' brains aren't developed enough to talk about sexuality at this age.
And we are misusing this information on our children who are not able to comprehend or even understand it.
Republican Representative Mark Baisley says the bill is unconstitutional.
It is a violation of the First Amendment to the Constitution by telling the school districts that you won't talk about anything having to do with religion.
Grandmother Judith Jurgensen is so fired up by the bill. She came all the way from Colorado Springs to testify.
This is wrong.
She's opposed because she believes in teaching abstinence. And similar to Jeremiah, thinks this is not the government's role.
I'm totally opposed to this bill simply because this is not the role of government teaching our children about sexual education.
Jennifer Kovaleski, Denver 7.
The debate at the Capitol could last past midnight, and Denver 7 will be there for all of the twists and turns. We want to hear from you, especially if you're a parent or a student. You can post your thoughts on our Facebook or Twitter or email us at 360@thedenverchannel.com. We may share your comments tomorrow at 6. A massive show of strength tonight from Denver teachers. This evening, hundreds of educators marched from the state capitol to the DPS headquarters on Lincoln. The teachers union and the school district are expected to resume pay negotiations tomorrow in the hopes of avoiding a strike. That walkout could also be delayed, potentially for up to 6 months, if Governor Polis does decide to intervene. Governor Polis's sales pitch to state lawmakers today: let's fund full-day kindergarten now and work out the kinks later. Addressing the legislature this morning, the governor insisted the state already has the money to make this work and any problems can be fixed on a case-by-case basis. Polis also says funding the program will free up millions of dollars districts are already spending, money that can be used to pay teachers more and improve infrastructure. Parents would also be asked to shoulder a lighter load.
Wages haven't kept up with the cost of living. It's getting harder. I might have gotten a 2 or 3% raise, but what does that mean if my rent or my, has gone up 10%, my health insurance has gone up 12%? It feels like I'm making less. On top of that, for parents of young children to come up with $300 or $400 a month is often very difficult.
Governor Polis wants this plan on the books as soon as possible, with districts able to take advantage by July. Eating healthy isn't always a choice, especially if you can't even get to the place selling the food. With the nearest grocery store miles away, Downing Street in Denver's Cole neighborhood is the near definition of a food desert. As our Jason Grenauer reports, that's about to change.
I've traveled probably 2 to 2.5 miles to go to the grocery store.
Ask people that live in the Cole neighborhood or in Rhino about grocery stores.
Yeah, this neighborhood could definitely use something like that.
The area of 36th and Downing is where the two neighborhoods meet. It doesn't have a full-service store for miles. It is on the edge of a federally dubbed food desert.
Nobody in Rhino or Cole have walkable, bikeable, easy access to fresh and affordable groceries.
Enter Andy Feinstein and Exto Properties to this block of auto salvage and old buildings.
This will be a 30,000 square foot store.
A brand name he says you'll recognize, just not announced yet.
Fresh vegetables, fresh meat, affordable options for the entire community.
But that's not all that's planned. 200 apartments are part of the development as well. 10% or 20 units will be affordable housing. That's what's going in. This is what's coming out.
We were able to acquire this road and this median, and that way we can consolidate the entire block and make this project happen.
This stretch of heavily trafficked Lawrence Street will go away and be built over.
This is one of the most complicated projects I've ever been a part of.
The Cole Neighborhood Association says residents are very excited for the planned store.
That would be really nice to have that option.
But there is some concern over the loss of the medians and green space. The plan still needs zoning approval from the city before design, potential shovel in the ground in 2020, and potential shopping by the end of 2021.
That would be really key. That would be really helpful for me.
In Denver, I'm Jason Grenauer, Denver 7.
A good burger just isn't enough to bring in customers anymore, at least not according to Lark Burger, which is now closing 4 Colorado locations. As of tonight, the restaurants in downtown Denver, Wash Park, University Hills, and Broomfield are out of business. As for the surviving locations, they'll soon get a new look and name. Lark Spot is already up and running in Arvada. It features new sandwiches, a large beer and wine selection, and a shelf full of books and board games. Well, this has been your Denver 7 On Demand update. Thanks for joining us. Check back here later tonight for another update and download the Denver 7 app for breaking news and alerts. I'm Jessica Porter.